All right, here we go. We're back in the playoffs. 6 out of 7 years. Oh, it's been a long year. Finally, we're back. We get a chance to finish what we started. Feels like started almost 6 years ago at this point. Is Lamar ready to go? We shall find out tonight against Pittsburgh. The spread is ginormous. Everyone likes the Ravens. It is an absolute nightmare if you're a Ravens fan when everyone likes the Ravens like this. Hopefully, we're worried for no reason because I know if you're a diehard Ravens fan, you're definitely worried. You know damn well it's not supposed to be easy. All these matchups with the Steelers are always tight. I think ultimately why the line is the way it is because Pittsburgh is just really going to have a tough time scoring. Is the Ravens offense going to be explosive without Flowers? It's going to be cold out. The Steelers pass rush is what it is. I don't know if it's going to be easy for the Ravens to score 30 points tonight. I totally get that. But I just don't think the Pittsburgh's going to be able to score. So I think the reason why the line is the way it is because this Ravens defense has been the best defense in the NFL, for the better part of a couple months now. It's just been dominant. There's no deep balls, no explosive plays they're giving up. The penalties is the only hiccup. But the Ravens defense is rolling, and they're rolling at the right time. Everybody's healthy. I don't see a pathway for Pittsburgh scoring. I know they're going to put Justin Fields out there. They're probably going to try some reverse passes. They're going to have to pull out all the stops. Jalen Warren probably scares me the most, their backup running back. I don't think Najee Harris will be able to get going. The Steelers' offensive line's not great. You got to look out for Warren catching the ball out of the backfield. You got to look out for Freiermuth, the big tight end over the middle. But Pickens and Mike Williams on the outside, that's got to be the weakest, vertical threat here in the playoffs. Pickens he's just so out of it that it's hard to be worried about him. I don't want to see him get going early, that's for sure. Van Jefferson is somebody that Russell Wilson likes to throw to on third down. Wilson's going to run a lot. He's going to do a lot of bootlegs where he's scrambling, trying to get 4 or 5 yards. It's going to feel like Pittsburgh's playing this game where it's already the fourth quarter and there's 7 minutes left. They're going to play tight. They're not going to try to throw the ball in tight windows. They'll either throw the ball way down the field. They'll do some, maybe some reverse passes or a trick play here or there. But besides that, it's just going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They're going to try a lot of quick screens, a lot of 2-3 yard hitches. They know they can't drop back and deal with that pass rush. The Ravens pass rush has been great. Everything the Ravens have been doing has been great. With Pierce back in the middle, it's hard to see Pittsburgh just moving him. If I was Pittsburgh, I'd try to do that, run right at him. Because if they end up in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 with Owe over there and Van Noy, and then all the blitzes that we can put out there, I think the Ravens defense will be in great position. To me, after obsessing over this game for the past 5-6 days now, it really just comes down to turning the ball over. It feels like that was the only reason we lost the first game to Pittsburgh. 3 turnovers, 3 weird turnovers too, just like some fluky plays. And then, to Pittsburgh's defense, we beat them at home. And I know Steeler fans are saying if Wilson didn't fumble that ball on the 3-yard line and didn't throw the pick six to Humphrey, that's a different game. I'm sure it is. But the Ravens' margin of error is significantly bigger than Pittsburgh. So if I'm the Ravens tonight without Flowers, and I would expect him really not to be back until potentially the Super Bowl, with Bateman out there, just let's not overthink this. It's cold. It's windy. I don't need something goofy to happen in the first drive or two. Derrick Henry should be able to just run downhill. I mean, the motivation for Derrick Henry is at an all-time high. Everybody else on the Ravens, when you think of their best players, Lamar and Roquan and Kyle Hamilton and even Humphrey, they got 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 plus years left in the league. It's Van Noy and Henry where you're like, man, time is clicking, especially time is ticking, especially for Derrick Henry hitting 31. And, he had one of his best years he's ever had. Just feels like it's meant for him to get to the Super Bowl. Just ride him, give him the ball. Even if he only gets a couple yards on the first couple of handoffs, give it to him again. Just keep running him, wear him down, do some misdirection here with Justice Hill. I don't know if Keith Mitchell will get some snaps or Ali, but they can just put multiple running backs in at the same time and just do those RPOs with Lamar. And Pittsburgh's just not going to be able to stop us. We don't, the same thing. I say this all the time. This league feels like it's a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 league. Like, who can convert there? I am going to be very anxious if we're in 3rd and 6 without Flowers and with Highsmith and TJ Watt, whatever that Hebrig or Herbrig, whatever that rookie, the young guy they got. They have pass rushers. Pittsburgh has pass rushers. Still have Cameron Hayward up front. We don't need to be in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm using Fitzpatrick. Their best, probably the best player outside of T.J. Watt. Their safety. He's going to really be all over Mark Andrews. If I'm Pittsburgh, I got to take away Mark Andrews. It feels like a big game for Isaiah Likely. He screwed up the first time at Pittsburgh. Had some revenge by getting the touchdown the second time around. Feels like he should be open here a lot. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm focusing my coverage on Andrews. I don't know if I'm going to double Bateman. Joey Porter, their top corner, who did not finish the game against the Ravens in the second game a month ago, he's fully healthy. So Pittsburgh's got the horses. I just think you got to wear them down. You run the ball, get them to play from behind. Maybe we blow the game open in the third, fourth quarter, but the first half, just I don't say survive it, but yeah, there's going to be some nerves. Whenever you're the big favorite and you haven't had a ton of playoff success, there's just going to be some nerves. It's a little bit of a different feeling than, let's say, the Bills have when they're home tomorrow because they keep winning these first-round playoff games easily the past 3 years. Buffalo has, whereas the Ravens certainly haven't. So last time out, they only scored 10 points at home against Kansas City. Everybody knows that. So it's going to be a little tight to start. Yeah, ride Derrick Henry, Linderbaum up front, Stanley, the big boys up front. Falele getting an honorable mention to the Pro Bowl team is awesome. Rosengarten, the right tackle, by all accounts, has had a great year. Held up great against T.J. Watt the first go around, and they're see if they can bang, see if they can push them off the line. Because if they can't, then this team's not winning the Super Bowl anyway. Like, the Ravens got to be a downhill football team. I would not overthink this tonight whatsoever. It's not that I don't trust Lamar. It's just that Pittsburgh pass rush. It's nighttime, and you have Derrick Henry. So let's run the football, and we should be headed to Buffalo, which I think will end up being the Sunday game. So that is the plan for tonight. I want to spend a minute or two, and then I'll circle back to the Ravens on. I just want to. I've been talking about the Orioles off the air for the past couple of weeks, but I haven't done a whole pod on it. So I figured today was a good day since the Ravens are going to distract us anyway and get some of this negativity out of my system, and then get excited for the Orioles season, because this is my overall takeaway on the offseason. If they did not trade for Corbin Burns last year, I'd be thrilled with the offseason that they had. If we didn't have Corbin Burns last year, if we just never made that trade, I don't think you'd get a single complaint out of me, because this feels like a big improvement from 2 years ago. They fall short in the wild card round against Texas, and they're lacking that starting pitching, and they decide, all right, we don't, there's no trade to be made, so we're going to add a bunch of guys. You get your Trevor Rogers in there. We got some young guys like Povich and McDermott, and then we're going to sign Charlie Morton. And it's like, all right, that's fine. Maybe the young guys develop, and then at the trade deadline, if we need to, we can add some reinforcements. And I'd be happy with the rotation. It wouldn't bother me. I would, I really would have zero complaints. The reason why it's devastating, the reason why I think the Orioles have a 0% chance to win the World Series is the karma now. They don't actually want to win the World Series. The players want to win the World Series, sure, but the people that make the decisions, they don't want to win the World Series. They want to make as much money as they possibly can with the Orioles. And if they win the World Series, that'd be a nice bonus. But Corbin Burns doesn't move the needle for them, so therefore they didn't sign him. That's been all the research I've done, all the different opinions I've listened to. It just simply comes down to money. There's just no other way. It's not roster reconstruction. It's not Elias doesn't like older pitchers and paying them big money. That just makes it more complicated. It's a very simple equation. The owners either keep the money for themselves or they spend it on baseball players. That's how baseball works. It's not the NBA, it's not the NFL. They either keep it for themselves in their own pockets or it gets spent on baseball players. That's it. There's no other. That's it. So it's a personal decision for each ownership group on how much they want to spend relative to the rest of the league. Each year they have meetings to discuss the budget. Every team does this, except probably the Mets. The Mets don't need to have a meeting. They're just like, whatever we can spend, we'll spend. But no, even the Mets have a meeting. Like, this is how it works. You have a meeting, you have a budget, and then you move forward. The Orioles, not in the budget to pay Corbin Burns. I imagine they want to pay some of these younger guys at some point. Lord help us. But those are the guys that are going to sell the tickets, that are going to move the needle as far as finances and the net value of the Orioles. Corbin Burns doesn't do that. He helps you win the World Series, but they've made the calculation, and by they, we'll say Rubenstein, since he's the face of it. I don't feel like mentioning all these other names in the ownership group, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Rubenstein's not really making those decisions in the ownership group. But regardless, his name's on it, so we'll focus on him. He is totally comfortable with not winning the World Series this year. I'm sure he would like to. I'm sure his family would like to, his friends, all the owners. I'm sure they would like to win the World Series, and they're going to spend some money to keep the fans happy and to keep us competitive and to, I guess, make it look like we're a team that's willing to spend. But signing Sagano, I forgot about him, signing him, the Japanese pitcher, and Charlie Morton and Tyler O'Neill is a slap in the face to Orioles fans, because all you had to do is just re-sign the guys you already had. You re-sign Corbin Burns, you re-sign Santander, and then if you want to add one of those guys that we signed, that's great. But there's no argument that we got an upgrade. There's no argument that Sagano plus Morton equals an upgrade over Corbin Burns. In fact, it would be a gigantic downgrade. It's one of the more massive downgrades that you could think of, going from a ace starting pitcher who pitched nearly a perfect game there in the postseason, started the All-Star game, for a Japanese pitcher that, look, call me skeptical, but a Japanese pitcher that comes to Baltimore instead of LA or New York. I'll believe it when I see it. I hate to be negative, but something tells me he's not going to be that great. We'll see. Just odd that he came here. That's what I'll say. Odd that the Dodgers are willing to shell out a gazillion dollars for Ohtani, but they can't get a Japanese pitcher to hang out with them. They just didn't want to. They gave Blake Snell $186 million. Still didn't really want to. The Mets and the Yankees didn't want him. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's good. Charlie Morton, that's an embarrassment. That it's just an embarrassment, because I don't care if he's 50 years old, 70 years old, doesn't matter. But to put him on the roster and to give him all that money instead of paying Corbin Burns, it's just embarrassing. I'm assuming there's a reason the Braves didn't re-sign him. Like, I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank, but to go from Corbin Burns to Charlie Morton, it is embarrassing. It's just laughable, and it makes the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays and the Rays all feel way better. I mean, Charlie Morton is a serviceable pitcher. Any team would be lucky to have him as your third, fourth, maybe fifth starter. The Orioles are like, here you go. What is he just going to start opening day for us? I don't know. It's a joke. They're counting on Grayson to take a gigantic leap, which he could do. That's not out of the question. So I understand from a fiscal standpoint of, hey, we don't have to pay Corbin Burns. Maybe Grayson replaces it. You get Bradish back in the middle of the season. Yeah, it's what you do if you're balling on a budget. I mean, we all go shopping for things. We all buy things. Sure, there's certain times where you're like, oh, this chair is just as good as the other chair, and it's $250 less, and it's just a freaking chair, so it's not that big of a deal. But when you're buying a car or a house or something super duper important, it's okay to say, I only live once here. Maybe I should just spend an extra few bucks since I can afford it. That's the problem with the Orioles. Is Angelos, you never knew what the finances were. because the kids never made any money. They don't know how to make any money. They don't know what they're doing. They can't stand each other. They're getting the mom is suing one kid. It was a hot mess, and you can never keep track of their money because they would always say the money is what comes from the law firm. So it's like whatever, hard to keep track of that. So you get annoyed, you get frustrated, and then you just let it go because it's however many years he owned the damn team, and it was the same thing. This guy, Rubenstein, rich, really rich, super rich, not like not middle of the pack rich. Like we're talking top 5 ownership rich. Made all of his money. Presumably has given away more money than anybody's ever going to see. 99.9% of us just giving it away. So there was a lot of hope that he would just spend the money. I mean, look, if you rather your owner be Rubenstein than Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, I respectfully think something's wrong with you. If you are in the business of managing from a distance the finances of your baseball owner, that just makes no sense. If you're telling me that the owner is saying, hey, we have a decision to make, we're either going to sign Santander or Burns, okay, that's the budget, that's the decision, fine, let's sign Burns. But why does there have to be a budget to begin with? Like as a fan, I prefer my owner not to have a budget. It is the weirdest thing to me. And I see a lot of smart people who like keep talking about how much money the baseball players are making. Like, yeah, my owner, I'm glad my owner didn't make that decision. I'm like, you are? For what? Like, I really I can't understand that. I think it's just people that are already unhappy with themselves and they don't like the fact that baseball players or basketball players or football players or whatever athletes in general make so much money. So it's easier to be like, yeah, I wouldn't give Max Fried 218 million. I wouldn't give that guy 150. Yeah, I wouldn't give him that either relative to what my life is like. But once you enter the world of owning a baseball team, that's the name of the game is how do you win? And you have to win by spending the money. So this Orioles team is really good. Like it's a great team. It's probably a top 5 team in the whole league when you just look at the roster. But what you had from last year and this is what you're putting out for this year, I think it's bad vibes. I think they're going to start off bad. I think they're going to have to fight for a wild card spot. It wouldn't shock me if they only won 80 games. They're going to regress in lots of different ways because despite what they say, the energy seems to be we don't like playing for Brandon Hyde. He doesn't have his finger on the pulse. They made what feels like 50 coaching decisions, changes over the offseason, bringing in this guy, bringing in that guy, changing this, changing that. But they kept Brandon Hyde, and they decided not to pay Santander. I don't know how you don't pay Santander and think that this offense is going to do anything but regress. Everyone's going to get better individually. Westberg, Kowser, Adley, Gunnar, sure, Kerstead. They'll all get better. But now you took the best player out. So there's no pitching around certain guys because Santander is sitting there. So you got a little lucky that maybe the best pitches or the most attention from the opposing teams was not focused on Kowser and Westberg. It's more focused on Santander. And that's not there anymore. Tyler O'Neill, whatever. If he plays, great. I'll believe it when I see it. But I just think it was just a downgrade, and a downgrade from a vibe standpoint that's hard to quantify. Santander's been here from the beginning. They shipped out Hayes last year. I thought that was necessary. He was kind of log jamming it up. Mullins they kept. They gave him $9 million about for this following year. But now your Mullins isn't really like a vocal guy. And I don't know. His spot is up for grabs as it is. As Kowser is trying to push him out of there. Kerstead and Kowser are trying to push him out. And Santander should have just gotten paid. That should have been the first person. If you're not going to pay Corbin Burns, which, as I just lamented for a few minutes, is embarrassing, really, you got to pay Santander. You got to say, you know what? We don't want to pay Burns. We don't want to give the 30-year-olds 6 years guaranteed. We got to pay Gunnar. We got to pay Adley. We got to pay all these guys. We got to pay Grayson. We like our pitching as it is, so we're going to sign Santander instead. By not signing either of them, yeah, they replaced them on paper. If we're playing a video game, the Orioles, I'm sure, will be fine. But the vibes are just a little off, and the Yankees got a lot better, and the Red Sox got a lot better, and the Rays were really bad last year. Go look it up. I don't know how many times they've had back-to-back bad seasons in the past 20 years. If they have a bad season, it's usually injury-ridden, or they do like a minor rebuild, then they come back out and they're firing away. So, yeah, Orioles decide not to re-sign Coulomb or Jacob Webb. Why? I genuinely have no idea. Those were my two favorite relievers. Instead, they paid Dominguez and Soto. Um, they just signed the Kitteridge guy, a veteran, another arm to have. It's not bad. It's fine, but I would have rather had Jacob Webb. They blocked the physical. I don't know if you guys saw this with this guy Hoffman, the reliever, who the Cubs ended up signing. The Orioles like flagged his physical. It's like the Orioles' favorite thing to do is to flag a pitcher's physical. I don't know if Angelo's put that in the ownership, like, hey, whoever owns this team has to flag at least one person's physical every 2 years or something, because I don't, what can I tell you? That's just what the Orioles do. Man, the tale of these two teams in Baltimore ever since I've been alive has been, I mean, the Orioles are lucky the Ravens even talk to them, right? Like they even embrace them. Like one team is the cool kid in school, the coolest team, the coolest kid, however you want to look at it. The Ravens are so easy to root for. They very rarely put out a team that has no chance to win. Like every year they're doing something to try to give us a shot to win. The best players for the Ravens have always been easy to root for. They stay here for a long period of time. And they're always in the playoffs. And then you got the Orioles where it's like you made the playoffs the past 2 years, and you see the Mets owner wants to spend all this money, the Yankees owner, the Dodgers just win the damn World Series. They want to spend all this money, and the Orioles are being fiscally responsible. Like, what are we? What is this? And then the worst part is when you hear people cape for it and defend it. And they're usually the people that get to interview Rubenstein and Elias and Hyde, the local Orioles media, which I'm sure every city's like this, but man, it is really embarrassing listening to certain people. Like, I know you want your access, but geez whiz. Man, so just very, very disheartening. So my overall take is the roster's great. If they didn't trade for Burns last year, it probably wouldn't be any hard feelings. It'd be like, whatever, team's good. They just haven't been ready to take their shot yet, but they took their shot last year. Joey Ortiz was really good. We don't know how DL Hall will turn out, but they did it. They got Burns. It worked. He helped. It went well. I just really don't understand why they decided not to do this, except I do understand. They just rather keep the money to themselves. Whatever else bullshit they tell you has nothing to do with the bottom line is I'd rather keep that money for myself. So my overall conclusion to it is the NFL and the NBA are operating, like communist China or Russia, or pick a country where it's not capitalism, because that is not the NFL. That is definitely not the NBA. The way they structure these contracts, having a salary cap, for folks that believe in like financial opportunities and financial freedom and the American way, you have to love baseball. You have to love the freedom that baseball is. Do whatever you want. There's no rules financially. Whoever makes the most gets the best players. And we never had a chance to do that. Now we do, and we decided not to. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell people at this point, because I've had multiple disagreements here with friends where they are talking about the finances of owners as if like that matters to anybody except the actual owner. So, all right, I want to be a dead horse, but yeah, when you think about these contracts for the NFL and the NBA, just remember that is the anti-American way, like capping how much money you can make. That is no. I feel like baseball's got it the right way. I prefer it that way. I know that means the players get to make an enormous amount of money, but it's worth it. If they weren't worth it, then the market wouldn't let them earn it, right? At the end of the day, these teams are worth, I think the Warriors are worth $9 billion. So you start looking at contracts, you look at how much an arena costs, but just the bottom line on this stuff is the wealthiest people in the world, they worry about the paper money, because it's all about leverage. It's all about using my net worth for whatever the next investment or loan or buying into the next anything is. So it's all about the paper money and the valuation of it. And yeah, if you're cash poor, that's a conversation we can have. Like, certain ownerships are cash poor. I get that. That was the Angelos argument. That's not the Rubenstein argument. So, all right, I'm done with the Orioles until we get to spring training, and then we can talk actual baseball stuff and figure out how they'll compete. But yeah, Gary Sanchez, I'm not getting super excited about that either. So it's like nothing they did in the offseason made me very happy. I don't think they'll make a trade, until the deadline. Elias wants to keep these prospects and figure out who's going to be the all stars out of them. So, all right, let's get back to the Ravens and put a bow on this. Yeah, I'll have my props out here in a minute. Once this video comes out, I'll have all the props, but I'm going to lean towards unders on Pittsburgh's props. I'm going to lean towards a defensive game, and I want to enjoy the game, so I don't think I'm going to do too many offensive props for the Ravens. I think Lamar will get his passing yards. I'd be surprised if he didn't. One way or the other, it's 217. But then again, if we just can run all over him, so I'll take another minute, double check things, go with my gut, and I'll put it out there. Have a great day, guys. I really hope I'm seeing you in the morning talking about the Ravens win and figuring out if we're headed to Buffalo or if the Chargers or the Texans are headed to Baltimore. So enjoy the games, guys. Maryland rolled last night. That was fun. I didn't see the whole game, saw enough of it. UCLA not in a good mood. That was fun to watch. So Maryland back on track. And yeah, see you guys in the morning. Have a great night. Enjoy the game if you're going. Have a lot of fun. Don't let any Steeler fans have fun. See ya.